Hello students, how are you all? Hope you all are doing good. Welcome to our EVS class. So students, today we are going to learn EVS lesson number 15, Animals Home. In this lesson, we are going to learn about the shelters of animals. And we are also going to learn shelters of wild and domestic animals. It means shelter which is important for the wild and domestic animals. And we are also going to learn about benefits of shelter to the animals and zoos and national park. We are going to learn the importance of what is a zoos and national park. And we are also going to learn about animal shelters in different season, how animal shelter it is useful in the different seasons. So let's see. Sam was playing outside his house. Now Sam is a boy and he was playing outside his house. He found two little birds tripping on a nearby tree. What does the Sam found? Yes, Sam found two little birds tripping on a nearby tree. Suddenly it started to rain, and suddenly what happened? It started raining. He rushed to reach his house. Sam rushed to reach his house. He wondered what would happen to those birds. He was thinking about that. What would happen to those birds? Where would they go to be safe during the rains? He started thinking for that. So students, what do you think? Where must they both the birds went? Let's see. So yes students, like us, animals also need place where they can live. The places where animals live are called shelters. As how we are living in our house to protect us from wind, rain and so on. So same as animal also need place to live to protect themselves from the weather. So the place where they stay or they live, it is called a shelter. So students, let us learn about the shelters of different kinds of animals around us. Let's learn about the shelters of domestic animals. We build shelter for domestic animals like cows, buffaloes, goats and so on. We are building the shelters for the domestic animals because they are domestic animal and they are living with us. So we are building the shelters for the domestic animals. So now let's see the shelters of the domestic animals. Now see the picture. This is a kennel and dog lives in the kennel. This is the shelter of the dog and it is called a kennel. What it is called? Kennel. So students, see the another picture. It is a cow shed. What it is called? It is a cow shed. Cow lives over here. It is a shelter of the cows and it is called a cow shed. What it is called? Cow shed. This is a stable. In the picture, what it is there? It is called a stable. It is the shelter of the horse. Horse live in a stable. It is called a stable. This is a shelter of the horse. So students, up to now what we have learned? We have learned the shelters of domestic animal. Now let's learn the shelters of the wild animals. Shelters of wild animals. Wild animals live in a variety of shelters such as caves, burrows, nests and so on. Some of them build their shelters, some use the shelters made by other animals. Yes, wild animals live in a variety of shelters. For example, caves, burrows, nests, and so on. Some of them build their shelters by themselves. Means some of the wild animals build shelter for themselves. But some wild animals are not building their shelters. They are using the shelters made by the other animals. Birds live mostly on trees. They build nests to lay eggs. Yes, birds are mostly living on the trees and they build a nest to lay the eggs. Nests are made of grass, twigs, threads, straw and so on. Yes, the nests are made of grass, twigs, threads, straw and so on. You must be have seen grass in the garden. You know what is the meaning of twigs? Twigs means what? Twigs means small branches of the stick. Small branches of the sticks, threads, straw and so on. Twigs are small broken branches and sticks. Nest of all birds are not alike. Nest of the all birds are not alike. Some birds do not make any efforts to build the nest. Now some birds are not taking any efforts to build the nest. Means they are not making the nest. For example, pigeon. For example, pigeon. Pigeons find the shelters in the gap of the walls. You must be have seen the pigeon. Pigeon is finding the shelter in the gap of the walls and sunshade of the windows and so on. See the first picture, it is a twigs. What does the twigs means? Small branches or the sticks. It is called a twigs and it is used to make the nest. Second picture is of nest. It is made by grass, threads, twigs and so on. And the third picture is of shelters of the pigeon. Third picture is of shelters of the pigeon. Rats and rabbits live underground in fields. Yes, rats and rabbits are living underground in the field. They dig the holes and burrows in the soil to live. They are digging the holes and burrows in the soil to live. Rats are also be found near the houses and public places. Yes, rats are found near the houses and near the public places. You must be seeing near your buildings or near the garden. Yes, there we found the rats. They make holes in the walls and floors of the houses made of mud. They are making the holes in the walls and the floors of the houses which are made up of mud. So students, see the picture properly. In the picture you see rabbits, rats and mice live in the burrows. See the first picture. Rabbits are living in the burrows. And see the rats and mice. They are also living in the burrow. How they are making the holes to the wall. In the picture, all it is given. Snakes do not build their shelters. They live in the holes and burrows made by other animals. Yes, snake is the animal which do not build their own shelter. They are not building their own shelter, but they live in the holes and the burrows made by the other animals. They are using the other animal shelters. They are using the other animals made holes and burrows. They are using that animals shelters. So students, see the picture. It is a picture of snake hole. It is a picture of snake hole and this is a shelter of the snake. It is a shelter of the snake. Snake live in a holes and burrows. We have seen that insects mostly use trees or soil as their shelter. Yes, insects are using trees or soil as their shelter. Some of them build shelter for themselves. For example, ant hills, bees make hives and so on. Yes, mostly some of the insects use trees or soil as their shelter. But some of the insects are building the shelter for themselves. For example, ant build ant hills for themselves and honeybees. Honeybee is building beehive for themselves. So some insects are building their shelters for themselves. So students, see the first picture. It is a ant hill. What it is? It is a ant hill and it is a shelter of a ant. It is a shelter of a ant. Ant live in a ant hill. And in the second picture, it is a beehive. And this is a shelter of a bees. This is a shelter of a bees. And bee live in a beehive. Bee live in a beehives. Frogs live in moist places. Yes, frogs are living in the moist places. They can live on the ground or trees. They can also live on the ground or they can also live on the trees. Tigers and lions live in the caves. Tigers and lions, they live in the caves. Monkey live on the trees. Monkey live on the trees. So students, see the first picture. In the first picture, frog live on the ground or on the trees. It is the shelter of the frog. It lives on the ground or on the trees. In the second picture, lions live in a cave. Lions and tigers are living in the cave. It is a shelter of the lion and tiger. And in the third picture, monkey. Monkey lives on a tree. It is a shelter of the monkey. Monkey lives on a tree. So students, up to now, we have learned about the shelters of the animal. But students, why do animals need shelter? Yes, animals need shelter to protect them from the harsh weather. For example, shelters protect animals from the rain, wind, hot sun and very cold weather. Shelters also protect them from their enemies. They help them to hide from the animals who eat them. Shelters also protect the young ones from their enemies. Yes, shelter protects them from their enemies. They help them to hide in the shelter from the protection of other animals who eat them. Shelter also protects the young ones from their enemies. Some animals like birds need the shelter to lay the eggs and feed their young ones because there are many animals which eat the eggs of the birds. So birds need a safe place to lay their eggs. So they build a nest in such a place where other animals cannot reach them easily. So they are building their nest far away so that the other animals cannot reach over there to eat their eggs. But students, sometimes we see wild animals like lion, tiger, elephant, monkey in zoo. You must have also been seen such animals in a zoo. Zoo are man-made shelter of these animals. Zoo is a man-made shelter because it is made by the men. So it is a man-made shelter of these animals because men build the zoos for the animals. In the zoo, animals get food and are safe from their enemies, but they are not free because they are kept in the cages. In the zoo, animals can get food to eat and they are safe from their enemies, but they are not free because they are kept in cages. Some forest areas are protected as a national parks to save the animals and their natural shelters. Yes, some forest areas are protected as a national park to save the animals and their natural shelters. There are the animals can live freely. Cutting trees or killing animals in these areas is against the law. Yes, there is a national park where animals can live freely, and over there cutting the trees or killing the animals is against the law. Students, do you know this? Jim Corbett National Park is the oldest national park in India. It was set up in the year 1936 to protect the endangered Bengal tiger. Yes, this national park was set up in 1936. The shelter of animals do not give enough protection from extreme hot or cold climate. Yes, the shelter of the animals do not give the protection from the extreme hot or cold climate. Some animals travel to the warm places to escape the extreme cold climate. For example, birds fly too far away to the cold winters. See the picture. Birds are flying far away to the cold climate. Some animals go into a deep sleep to escape the cold weather and shortage of food. These animals go to a cave or burrow to sleep. Yes, some animals go into the deep sleep to the cold weather and shortage of the food. These animals go to a cave or to a burrow to sleep. In a hot climate, some animals go for a summer sleep. In the hot climate, some animals are going for the summer sleep. They bury themselves in the ground to avoid the heat. For example, crocodiles and some kinds of frog. Yes, for example, crocodiles and some kinds of frogs are burying themselves in the ground where it is cold and more moist. So students, see the picture. Animals go to a deep winter sleep.